Guys, I have some, well, I shared with you some advantages of growing in containers. And with everything, you know, there's a balance. There are advantages and there are disadvantages. So this morning I'm going to share with you the top 3 disadvantages or problems that I have growing in containers. And so you might be asking, what does that have to do with your stick or your old tree that you took from the forest, guys? This, I'm still working on my food fence, and so this tree fell and just a little part was attached, and so I'm taking advantage of it. So I'm going to use this to reinforce my food fence. Welcome to the channel. That's a massive long intro. Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Marie. If you're new here, forgive my breathlessness. I'm a little bit tired coming from over there. So yes, I'm going to cut this maybe in 2 or 3 and use it to help with my food fence. So let's get back to the garden, guys. Welcome, guys, welcome. You know what? I'm going to cut it before I bring it over because this is way too long to bring over there. So I'm going to cut it. And then let me take off this little side branch. And then cut this part in 2. Right here should be good. Alright, so I'm going to get back to this. After I'm done. I might not be able to show you all of it, but I'll show you what I'm still working at. So let's get to the garden and discuss those disadvantages that I have growing my food in containers. I had to clean out the papaya?
Yeah, man, I try to save it.
Volunteer. Down here's a volunteer nation. Look at this volunteer pumpkin.
The whisk take over, man. The whisk take over the whisk, man. If I try clear the whisk from it.
Baby, you now limb the mango tree before it start bear again. Prune it. Maybe say hi to your friends as they ask for you.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. How are you? Answer by the man.
Osh. Baby, I'm doing disadvantages of gardening, so later.
Alright.
Well, gardening in containers.
Okay.
Yeah.
There, I try a thing.
Baby, get out of the ants. See the ants right there.
Yeah,
So.
you see how much ants. But more I save the papa, man. The whisk did I cover it a while ago, so I have to clean it off.
Alright. Alright, later.
Yeah. Bye. Bye, friends. Steve is still here.
Yeah.
Me no gone nowhere.
They are same way.
No, no, no.
Now I'm going to start from, what should I say, the least, well, I'm going to start from 3 to 1. 3, number 1 being the biggest problem. So I'm going to start from 3. One of those disadvantages of growing in containers is the amount that you're able to plant. You're restricted to a certain amount depending on the size of the container that you're planting. For corn, you'd like to plant a field to last you for a very long period of time, to share, to sell. But with containers, you're only able to plant a certain amount. There are so many veggies in our garden that would like to plant a lot of it, and we're just not able to. One of those veggies are beans. These are red kidney beans that I have growing here, but we're not able to plant a lot of it. And beans in general does well for some parts of the year. Here in Jamaica where I'm living, in the summer they don't do well. These aren't looking so bad because they're somewhat shaded out by the corns and the okras and the trees behind, so they aren't so bad. But the thing is, if they're not getting enough sunlight, they won't produce either. So for things like beans, whether it be green beans, drying beans like these, we would like to grow a lot of it in the cooler months, and so we can preserve some, freeze them, dry them, and have them to use in months like now. It's August, not October. We'd like to grow it in October. But in July, May, June, July, August, September, they don't do well, and so we have to just do without. I grow them in the cooler months, but it's just not enough to preserve, to serve for the hotter months of the year. So that's one thing that you have a challenge with when growing in containers. You just have to grow and eat what you produce at the minute, and you don't really have a lot to stockpile. That's, well, it is a problem, but it's not the worst problem of the 3. These beans, they look like they'll give me something. I can't tell yet. This is my banana tree growing right here, and it is growing out of half a barrel, a blue barrel. Usually relatives and friends in the diaspora or for returning residents, you'll ship food home in those barrels, so you might be aware of what they look like. It is planted in a barrel and it is doing exceptionally well. But one of the disadvantages, number 2, is that the root might be restricted to one. It might be too restricted, the roots. I am not sure. I don't think it is now because it is looking good. Once your roots aren't doing well, usually your plant tell you that something is wrong. This is not telling me anything is wrong at the minute, but it might, because there are suckers coming in there. And while one plant might do exceptionally well in the container, the suckers might take from that plant, and you might have a problem in the future in the container. I'm not having a problem yet, but for a lot of the plants that I grow, I find that I might have to uppot them because the roots become too restricted in the container. It's not the worst problem, but it is a disadvantage. It is a disadvantage of growing in containers. I'm looking at my pepper plant right here that broke off in hurricane burial. This pepper plant was severed right here. It is so full of leaves you might not be able to tell, but it was severed in hurricane burial, and I just gave it some rabbit manure, molded it up and watered it, and I'm telling you, the amount of buds on it, it had 4 lovely peppers before burial. I'll show you. And now it has so many. So sometimes what seems like a curse is actually a blessing, because this pepper plant is doing so awesome. And I don't think it is having any problem with root restriction, as the the plant is telling me that it is nice and healthy. It's beautiful. Butternut squash. Butternut squash, both male and female, are right next to each other over here. Awesome. This is a black cocoa that I have growing out of a small tire, and these leaves are telling me that there might be some root restriction problem. They aren't fed properly. You see the leaves are yellow, and either the plant need fertilizer or the roots are being restricted and is not able to feed the plant efficiently. These are black cocoa and they bear huge tubers, the cocoa itself that you eat, and so it needs space, but I had none. I just had to use whatever I had when my dad gave me the cocoa plants, and so I just literally catch them in there for the time being. I'll just have to take whatever they produce, but in the future I'll have to probably put them in one of the alpha barrels or something like that, or the machine containers, because this is just too small for a big plant like this. Right here I have this is a plantain. It's a type of banana. If you're not familiar with plantain, the fingers are just way bigger and they produce less on a bunch. It is in one of those blue alpha barrel as well. It is looking good now, but the thing is, this is not a dwarf plantain. It will get really big, so I might have issues going forward. But what I can do for the plantain, if it is that it push up suckers, I'll have to remove them so one plant can be adequately fed. Because in this case, guys, for some areas I can back around and plant stuff in the rocks, but the plantains and the banana, they love water and cool. Well, the plantain prefer eat more than the banana, but they won't survive in the rock. So I have no choice but to put them in containers and work with them as best as possible. I have a grapevine growing over there in containers as well. Some of you told me that I needed deeper container to plant it in. We'll just have to see. If it does not do well, I'll take cuttings from it and plant it elsewhere. But it's a trial and failure thing with me and the garden, because I've never gardened in this type of condition before moving here. So everything in here is experimental for me, so we'll just have to see. But so far, those are two of the disadvantages I see growing food in containers. Now let's move on to the number one problem I face, the number one disadvantage of growing in containers. Guys, the number one problem I have growing in containers is watering. I can water this garden in the morning, and by evening everything is flopped over. It's nice and beautiful now, but I've not watered since morning. It's a little bit after 6, and so everything is looking beautiful. But I can tell you by 12, if I don't water now, by 12 everything is flopped over, and I'll tell you why. When planting in containers, you can easily drown your plants with the root becoming too saturated with water, so you have to put enough drainage in the container. Now with that proper drainage, the water is drained from your container very quickly. So even though it is providing just enough water for the root of your plant to be able to grow and breathe properly, the water is drained really fast, especially here on my rocks where it is so incredibly hot. The water, it is both being evaporated and drained because of the tremendous heat, and so the containers are dry very quickly. But yet you must put those drainage in, otherwise the plant will die. So you're between the rock and a hard place, because you must put the drainage, but that drainage allow for the water to get out of your container really quickly, and thus causing your plants to become dehydrated and stressed out, and that way your plant attract a lot of pests, because when your plants get stressed out, the pests flock to that plant, is sick, and it cannot, the natural defense mechanism that the plant has when it's healthy, it does not have that when it becomes sick, and so the pest will flock to your plant and enjoy them rather than you getting to eat your food. So that is my biggest problem gardening in container, the constant watering non-stop. Excuse me guys, I've been trying like forever to grow Irish potatoes. I have another method here that I'm testing out. I'm not going to show you that today because I'm not sure if it's going to be a success, and I want it to be a success because my intention is to inspire persons to plant food and not to discourage you. And if it is, I will tell you, because I have told you why the others fail, but it's not my intention to make gardening seem like something that is impossible and so incredibly difficult. But there are challenges, and I will tell you of the challenges, but I'm not going to come with every video to just depress you to say, look, I won't be able to grow potatoes because Marie can't grow them, so I'm waiting. I say that to say this. This is a success story behind here, guys. It is early and my vocabulary not coming together right. Please see with me. These are yams that I have growing. This is a machine that this one is in, and this is a yellow yam, and that one down there, that's a renta yam. And I have sweet yams. I have I think I have St. Vincent. I have yams growing in containers, guys, but you have to be creative because yams love water but they don't like to be saturated. And so what I did this in what you call lasagna layering of soil. So I had a lot of leaves at the bottom, then soil and leaves, then soil and leaves, and so I have big drainage holes, but because there's so much organic material, it holds the moisture, but it is not saturated, it is seeping through. So because I know I have drainage problem, watering problem, that is how I did it for the yams, and so they're looking so good. But for the smaller pots, it is really hard to do that because you have to get as much soil in there so the plant can benefit from the nutrients, and so it is difficult in the smaller pots. But for these, my cassava, can you see it right here? These pretty leaves, these are cassava. I did the same thing with those, the leaves and the soil and leaves and soil organic matter, and so it retains the moisture more so than the little teeny pots. Yeah. So you have to be creative when you're growing in containers when you know you have those challenges. These are looking so beautiful. They're all over the fence, just like I intended them to be. These are my strawberries, and these are prime examples of the plants that are in tiny containers. And for these, when I water everything in the morning, sometime during the day, if my husband is here or myself, or I'll just ask someone if we're not here to water them in the middle of the day as well, because these plants, the strawberries, they will just rot if the water is on their roots, and their root is way on the surface of the soil. So when the midday sun hits, these dry out really fast, and the strawberry will literally fry in the sun if enough moisture is not in the leaves. And so we have to take especially good care of these when it comes on to watering in order to keep them looking this good. Because guess what? Your girl needs to eat strawberry from these. And I'm going to do what I have to keep them looking like this, healthy and nice. And so whenever they're ready to fruit, they're nice and healthy and can give us some good fruits. I need a solution with the birds. I need to figure out how to protect these from the birds when they start to fruit, because the bird nests are right along the fence. And I heard they love strawberries just as much as we do. The other day we weren't able to water the garden for one day. Watered the night before, but for that entire day we didn't get to water until in the evening. And let me show you what happened to my lettuce. This is what happened. The leaves literally fried in the sun. So yes, just to recap, the 3 disadvantages of, well, for me, for growing in containers. Number 1, you're limited to the amount that you're able to grow. You want to grow a large amount, but because of the container situation, you can only plant so much and no more. Number 2, the root restriction. For most of your veggies, you might need really large containers. For the shallow root ones, it will be fine, but for the veggies that have really large root system and trees, your fruit trees, they might be limited when it comes on to their roots in the container. And number 1 is the constant watering. As if it is you don't have time to get up every day and water, I'm telling you, it will not work gardening in containers. It definitely will not work for me because it is so hot here. Even in the cooler months we still have to water every day because it gets really hot in the midday. No matter if it is the peak of winter, we don't really experience winter, and so that's the reason why I say cooler months and not during winter, because we don't have winter. It's always warm in Jamaica. So yes, those are they, and I hope you take something from this, something positive, that is, because the advantages are way more. I'll try and link 2 videos that I did on advantages of growing in containers. There are way more compared to the disadvantages. Long list of advantages, small list of disadvantages. So I'm not discouraging you from planting in containers. It's just that you need to be aware, and so you're prepared to take care of your vegetables. All right, so thank you for joining me. I'm going to continue with my fence, and when it gets going, I'll provide an update on my food fence that I'm working on. I'll provide you an update later on. All right, so thank you so much. I'm gonna water now and go back to my work. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're watching and you've not yet subscribed, please go ahead, press that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a video. Please remember to like and leave your comments, your questions, your concerns, your tips, your tricks. I appreciate each and every one of them. Thank you so much. All right, take care now. Bye bye.